According to popular opinions, cliches, stereotypes, the African man does not get depressed. In fact, they say he does not suffer any form of mental disorders or illness. Is this really true? Because day in, day out, we see rising numbers of disorders, mental illness, and also rising cases of suicide attempts. Today, we will be talking about something that relates to mental illness, mental wellness, mental balance, and mental disorders. And as always, on Wednesdays, I have with me two delectable leaders. Oh, before I forget, my name is Oluwaseun Olusegun, and I have with me
Modipe Jacobs.
And I am Raola Popola. Good morning.
I call her tea. I call her coffee.
Yes. And if
Welcome to Tea or Coffee, yes.
This is Tea or Coffee on High Impact Television.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, I got carried away.
Okay.
Okay, like Sean likely said, we would be talking about mental illness, disorders, and, prevention of mental illness. True that, a lot of people actually think, not just even Africa, they feel Nigeria is not even a place of depression. And actually, if you're going to follow the trends on social media and comments and funny videos you see on social media, it doesn't look as if Nigerians can be depressed. But trust me, a lot of people are battling depression. A lot of people have different things going through their mind. They're facing different challenges. And the only thing they could actually think of is either committing suicide or doing something that is really not nice.
It's amazing how it is not even only in Nigeria or in Africa that this happens. Even in the Western countries, even in, likes of UK, USA, people, you hear stories of people getting so depressed they jump off a tall building or they stab themselves or
do crazy things.
Crazy things. And then you wonder why. Sometimes when you hear the reasons, you can actually relate as to, okay, this person was going through tough times and all, but then, sometimes you hear some reasons and you're like, why?
It's not
reason enough to want to end your life.
Talking about that, okay, in the European, rather in the European countries, in Sena climes, the one we refer to as Sena climes, talk about America and all that, they have data. Because I was going through the internet and I saw that at least 1 in 5 American suffers a form of mental illness in a year or the other.
True.
Now, these ones know something about they can always seek help and blah, blah, blah. So now coming down to Africa, we believe that Africans are resilient. They are tough, they adapt, they are this, they are that. So they feel like you can always bounce back from that pressure. Anything. And then looking at the prevailing economic situation, looking at the society, looking at the leadership, looking at everything points to the fact that in fact, there's almost a reason to be depressed daily, although depression is not the only form of illness. Then it's sad that we don't have enough data to back these things up. And despite the prevailing situation, people feel like, no, you shouldn't get depressed. Like you're a fighter. No, please, I don't want to be strong. Allow me to break down. Let me balance myself. Let me recover. And so it's sad that there were a lot of stigma attached
to it.
Yeah. That's why some people don't even want to go for therapy because they don't want to be labeled sick. I was saying it to someone that when it comes to psychiatry, sometimes the first thing that people hear once you hear psychiatry is madness, lunatic, crazy. Why?
People going wild, and that's actually not it.
Not true.
That is not it.
And actually, if you're going to ask me, I think I'm glad for the fact that a lot of people are actually coming out to speak out now.
True.
That, look, I am depressed. I mean, we've had artists come out to say, I am depressed, I need help. And people actually turn up
and try to help them.
And help. You imagine the case we had recently of a man jumping down Third Mainland
That was
Bridge.
just yesterday.
And
yesterday.
They had to rescue him immediately. Imagine if we didn't have people around at that particular time. What would have happened now? I do not know the reason why he had to do that. But I do not, no matter what you are going through, I don't think it is enough for you to just end your life.
It is not enough,
Sean.
If you seek help, trust me, there is hope for any situation you find yourself in. It can only get better. It's not going to get worse than what you're in. Remember, there are a lot of people actually out there going through worse things than what you are going through
the reason why they can pull through is because they believe that they are strong enough, to to overcome any challenge or any situation they are in. So I don't think that anyone should want to take their life. Like, life is actually beautiful. If you look on the brighter side, life is indeed beautiful. And once there is life, there is hope. And although depression is a very serious issue, you'll be amazed how depression can start. And sometimes you may not even know on time that, okay, you are going through depression. It's like a progression. You just realize that, okay, you're getting sad at some point, consistently, things are not supposed to make you sad. Comments are supposed to get to you. And then at that point...
unnecessary pressure from society.
Peer pressure. Societal pressure, everything.
I really can't wait.
I usually ask people that, why would you don't know what the person you're looking at and saying, okay, why is my story not like this? Do you know what that person has gone through to be at that point? Now, do you actually want to go through that process the person went through to be where he or she is?
Okay, so we have been doing a lot of talking. Now, the topic for today is community psychiatry. And then we'll be having experts come into the studio to talk about it with us. So please do stay glued to tea or coffee, because we'll be right back.
Experience the excitement at High Impact Planet Amusement Park and Resort. Our state-of-art facility offers amazing outdoor rides, playhouses, indoor games, and dining facilities. Thrill your student with a lifetime memorable excursion trip. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
Discover the magic, the thrill. Every sight is so close you can feel it. The excitement, the fear. Experience our cinemas at High Impact Planet, the place where fun just got real.
Welcome back. It's still Tea or Coffee on High Impact Television. Before we went on that break, we told you we would be talking about community psychiatry today.
True.
And a lot of people, when they hear psychiatry, like you likely said, the first thing that comes to their mind is madness, mystics, and all. But then we actually have a guest in the studio that would do justice to the topic. We have Dr. Dapo Adegbaju, a health practitioner who would be talking about community psychiatry. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to Tea or Coffee.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yes, okay, like I likely said, a lot of people do not actually understand what psychiatry and community psychiatry is all about. So how would you define community psychiatry?
First of all, community psychiatry is that branch of psychiatry that has to do with treating people who have mental illnesses where they are living. Unlike taking them to the hospital, which everybody is used to. I mean, people are now gravitating to the extent that instead of bringing them to the hospital and filling up the bed spaces, why don't we go home and treat them where they are? And studies have shown it comes with a lot of successes and reduces the stigma, attached to taking people to the psychiatric hospital.
Wow. Actually, that stigma is quite important.
It's quite important,
to talk
yes.
about.
That's another ball game. Yeah. Okay, so community psychiatry is dealing with people right there, like in their comfort zone.
Exactly.
So I know there's something such as social psychiatry.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between social psychiatry and community psychiatry?
Yeah, there is a difference. Social psychiatry has to do with interpersonal relationships and the culture in helping to help the person go about the mental illness he or she is having. It might not necessarily be at home. It might, you have to use interpersonal skills, the culture of the person you're treating to help the person overcome the mental challenges. Unlike community psychiatry, where you have to go to where the person is living. So that's the major difference.
Okay. So basically it transcends, your environment, your geographic location. Okay.
Anytime you talk about psychiatry, you see visiting a psychiatrist, everyone like she rightly said, everyone thinks that
something is off.
Being crazy or, you know, having a very extreme mental disorder. But what exactly, is it only that, or does it have to be depression? Because it's all about depression and suicidal thoughts and the like. So what does it entail when you talk about psychiatrists and the psychiatrists and the like?
Psychiatry has to do with anything that has to do with your thoughts and behavior,
Okay.
which is essentially emanating from the brain. You see, the reason why people talk about depression a lot is because depression is found in the dictionary. And, you know, it's a good way to hide any form of mental illness anybody is having. Even if the person is having a very severe form of mental illness, everybody still hides under, oh, he's depressed. She's depressed. Because it's found in dictionary and it's something you can hide under. But mental disorders go beyond depression. Even if you are not sleeping very well, you are supposed to see us.
Really?
Yes. You are supposed to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist most times. But because of the stigma, you know, people now go to see their general practitioners. They start seeing other people there, you know. It's just essentially because of the stigma attached to it. Nobody wants to be labeled a psychiatric patient.
Okay.
Okay, so in the community now, how are people or patients diagnosed of mental disorders?
Yeah, you know, community psychiatry is a branch of psychiatry that is just coming up into the country. It is well used all over the world, but in Nigeria, you know, we are just getting used to it. And it's all stemmed because, you know, like I said, stigma is a very big part that people don't want to. And and you know, the way we are being brought up in this part of the world, we tend to spiritualize everything. Everything. You see, once you see signs of somebody behaving irrationally in front of you, oh, my enemy has found me out. Oh,
village people,
my stepmother has found me out. You know, we tend to look at things spiritually instead of taking the bull by the horn and taking this person for treatment. Because the earlier a person is treated for something we are seeing, the better. But you know, the way we go about things, we go shopping around. By the time the person ends up in the hospital, that person has become a chronic. You know, if you're a Christian, from one church to the other, if your faith is not strong, they introduce you to a Muslim cleric. If your faith is still not strong enough, they go to a herbalist. You know, they go around like that. Eventually, when they make up their mind to come to the hospital, you know, the person has gone far with the illness.
Okay, in other words, before you become a chronic sort that they have to rush to the hospital, it starts from somewhere.
From somewhere.
Process. Not that you just sleep and wake up and then it springs up.
No, it's not like that.
Okay.
But you see, the more you delay, the more the worse the prognosis for the person.
Okay.
So what are the sensors? How can you pinpoint that, okay, this is an onset of a mental illness or disorder?
Yeah. How you will know is this. You need to know the person you're even dealing with. You know, if a person is used to somebody, you know her, she's a jovial person, all of a sudden she comes to work, she's not talking to anybody. You watch her the first day, maybe she's moody.
Mood swings.
Second day, she repeats the process. Third day, fourth, fifth, people should start red flagging. Oh, what is wrong? You can start by, what is wrong with you? And if the person does not come up with any explanation that does not make sense, it's better you take the person to see a specialist. The only thing is that, you know, there will always be refusal.
Exactly.
Oh, nothing is wrong with me. Why are you thinking bad? Oh, you are wishing me bad, you know. But you see, the earlier the better.
Okay, that is for someone else, but for you yourself, just like you rightly said, even sleep disorder, I know depression, we have other things, we have even obsessive compulsive disorder, that's OCDs, we have different things. So how do you yourself know that something is, you know, not totally fine with me?
Well, the person will have to, by asking series of questions and then answering. The psychiatrist is not a dibia or a herbalist or a diviner. He will have to ask you series of questions. And it is the answer to those questions that will determine what category is going to place you in. That's why we don't go into the surgical, we don't go into the theater to operate. We can stay with somebody, a client, for 3 hours talking. And it's because we want to unravel what is going on.
Going on.
And unraveling what is going on with the person can take series of questions starting from when you were born to the present time.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's a lot. If you really want to dig in, because you want to know what is really behind why this person is breaking down now. Why didn't he or she break down years ago? Why didn't it happen months ago? You don't want to find out why now.
Okay, so if all these things can happen, how can we protect our mental health?
By doing the right thing. We live in a very stressful environment. We need to what we call take care of our mental health very well. We need to get adequate sleep. We need to let go of so many things. Someone hurts you, you are keeping a grudge against that person. I mean, something you're supposed to let go. I mean, don't put everything on top of your head.
To your chest.
Exactly. There's something you have to let go because it makes you free. The sleep, you need to get adequate sleep. We live in a very stressful environment. Everybody complains. But whether you like it or not, 6 to 8 hours of sleep is very essential because you need to relax your brain after you had this job.
Or can you break it? Must it be 8 hours at a stretch? Or
actually, if you want to get what we call convenient sleep, it's supposed to be at a stretch with little or no interruptions. Maybe the only interruption would be maybe going to pee in between. And it should not be more than once or at most twice. If you start getting to 3 or 4 times, we should start sending the person to see an endocrinologist. That's when we're having diabetes.
Okay. All right. You mentioned that when you realize that people are actually going through certain situation, you sit them down for 3 hours and have a conversation to unravel what is wrong. So aside having a conversation with them, are there medications put in place, to help such people?
Yes, there are. Medications abound in this country. But it is not even the medication that is the main thing. It is getting the person to the hospital to even talk. That is the main challenge. It is when the person asks, look, something is wrong with me. Okay, let me go and see somebody who is going to help me out. That's what we call an insight. The person has insight to his or her problem. Now, when the person, after talking, okay, this is the diagnosis, okay, there are medications. Some people don't even need medication. Just mere talking is enough for some people. Just mere pouring out your heart, the burden of your heart. I mean, letting some things go. And you find out the person is okay. But some people, you still have to place them on medications. And depending on the illness, that's what will determine the type of medication you are going to take.
Okay. All right.
It stems from antipsychotics, antidepressants, anti-anxiolytics, There are different categories.
Okay, as a community psychiatrist, actually, you deal with people living within a particular area or community. Now, is it that you move from one house to another, to discover or check whoever is going through depression or mental disorders, or people refer? How do you actually, work within that community?
Beautiful question. Now, like I said, if we are going to go by the model of the Western world, we are supposed to have social workers that will be going into the communities, trying to see if anybody, or if we can't get social workers, there will be neighbors or family members that will be able to contact the social work services. Look, we are having challenges with this person. Can you send a team over to come and have a look at him? That's in the Western world. But here, what we do is that we are trying to incorporate the mental health. Even though it's a component of the primary health care itself, it is actually the 9th component. But over time, it has been downgraded, so people don't even know. But we are trying to resurrect it. We are now trying to see, look, if you find any of your wards having mental challenges, you can take him to the primary health care centers. There's no stigma there.
Stigma there, yes.
Try and relate with the nurses or the officials there. If it's not something they can handle, they can then call on us or refer you appropriately to where you can go. For example, where I work, we have a partnership with some primary healthcare centers where I go there like once a week or once every fortnight. So what they do is that they try to pull the people who have issues together for me. So that when I go there, I can easily now talk with them, and then we take it up from there.
Okay.
Wow, that's a lot to take in. Okay, a little diversion now. How can you separate mental illness from the regular midlife blues or the passing or ephemeral situations? Probably you just lost someone or maybe you just lost a job, or you just have a hormonal imbalance and all that. So how can you separate it from the typical ongoing mental illness? Plus, how do you, address it into before it becomes chronic?
Something worse.
Actually, if you look at it deeply, there's hardly anything a person who is mentally disturbed do that a normal person will not do. You're shocked. The only thing is that once it gets out of hand or is getting more than what is socially acceptable. I'll give you a good example. I'm sure we must have all, at one or time, maybe you're the only one in the house, and you feel someone is knocking at the door.
Yeah.
And you get to the door,
And you say,
and there's nobody there.
Or maybe someone calling your name. You're like, village people.
Or someone walking behind you.
You feel, there's that feeling. But you see, everybody is allowed to do that once in a while. So far it does not disrupt your day-to-day activities.
Okay.
But when it starts disrupting your day-to-day activity, now that is a sign of a mental breakdown. Like I said, you feel someone is knocking at the door, you don't see anybody, you go back to your and sit down. But if you don't start going to the door every 5 minutes,
Paranoia.
there's no way you will do whatever you're supposed to do.
True.
That would be where you'll be concentrating on, and that's a sign of a mental breakdown.
Okay.
If you laugh, you're supposed to laugh within a certain limit, a certain degree. But when your laughter becomes unnecessarily prolonged,
Okay.
people start looking at what is going on. And like I said, you might hear your name, and then nobody's calling me. But when it becomes persistent, someone is calling me. Maybe people from the village. Once it starts getting too much, the person should really.
Growing up, I've heard my mom tell me several times, once you hear your name, don't answer.
Don't answer.
The funny thing is, I read online that someone calling your name and you hearing something like that is actually the sign of a healthy mind. I don't know. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true, because you are supposed to hear your name being called within a certain limit.
Okay.
Someone is standing like 20 meters from you and shouts your name, you're supposed to hear. But a situation where someone is in Abuja and you feel the one person in Abuja is calling your name. That is beyond what you are supposed to comprehend. No, that is a sign of mental illness. We are in Ibafu area and you feel someone is in Bega calling you. You can't hear somebody calling you from Bega. It's impossible.
True.
Okay. Just one more question. We talked about you calling someone's name and all that. Okay. Now, we can all imagine stuff and we can all cook up realities in our head. It's one of the many magnificence of the mind.
Definitely.
So when does it become, should I say hallucination now, when something you imagine in your mind becomes so real? When does it cross to that part?
Now, what is hallucination? Hallucination is when it's an abnormal perception. We all have our 5 senses.
Yes.
But when you start seeing things other people cannot see, hearing what other people cannot hear, or at times you feel something is touching you, and like, isn't anything touching you? And nothing is touching me.
You can see people that other people can't see.
Something that is just not, you can't perceive. That is an hallucination. Now, hallucination can now be accompanied by what is called a delusion. Delusion are beliefs that is not in conformity with the person's social status, educational status, or cultural background. When those two are mixed, it is a time bomb.
I knew that.
And that is when you now have hallucination and delusions present, you said the person has lost touch with reality. I won't call it schizophrenia because there are other, even depression can come with those too. So it's not only schizophrenia. Yeah.
This is interesting.
Wow. Okay, you know that I always hear people talk about mood swings. And people just say, it's normal, it's normal. Is it a type of mental disorder?
Now, mood swings, it depends on, if a person like you says mood swing, everybody is supposed to have a little bit of mood swing. Your mood is not supposed to be static. Your mood is supposed to swing over a small area. I mean, what I mean by happy, sad. But when you start having mood swing to the extreme, today you are overtly happy. Tomorrow you are overtly sad. That's when you're saying you're having, and to us, when you say you're having mood swings, it denotes a bipolar illness. Yeah, because this minute you are manic, you're on top of the world, you can do everything, you can spend your money lavishly, you can give out all your things for charity, and then maybe some weeks or days later, you swung to the other pole, you are not even talking to anybody, you are weeping, you are keeping to yourself, you are not taking care of your looks. I mean, you are not even eating well. That's the depressive side. Even though there are intermediates in between. I don't want to bug you with the names, we call them dysthymia, cyclothymia. They won't get to the extremes, but they will still be more than the normal mood swings that everybody's entitled to.
So to a large extent, mood swing is not a problem until it's extreme.
Today, yeah.
Okay, you know, I think we actually need to talk about the various types of
mental disorders,
so that people can actually, differentiate. But before we do that, we need to go on a short break. And when we come back, we'll talk more on community psychiatry. We still have Dr. Dapo Adigbaji in the house. Do stay tuned. There's still Tea or Coffee on High Impact Television.
Walking into comfort in a safe environment is every family's dream. At High Impact Planet Resort, our fully furnished service apartment is a home away from home. Amazing views right in your luxurious world. Work out to keep fit for an amazing body at the gym. Get affordable groceries and personal care items at the supermarket. Feel relaxed and beautify yourself at the fully equipped spa. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
You are welcome back. This is still Tea or Coffee on High Impact Television. Of course, your first full HD TV station in Nigeria. Now, we have been talking about community psychiatry, and we still have Dr. Dapo in the studio with us. Now, before we went on the break, she talked about the need for us to address what's the types of mental disorders that we have. So what are the types of mental disorders?
There are numerous. Where do I start from?
You need to start from somewhere.
Oh, well, let me try and go through the major ones people will know.
Yeah.
Let me start from delirium. There is dementia. Delirium means acute confusional state. Dementia means loss of memory. It usually happens in old people, even though there's nothing that's saying a young person cannot lose his or her memory. Then there's what we call mental and behavioral disorders due to substance use. Now, substance use, substance in this case could mean ranging from alcohol, coffee, or let me say stimulants.
I was looking for how to attack you on that. But
alcohol, there's cannabis, there is opioids. I mean, there are several of these substances around now. Then there's schizophrenia, which could also be subdivided. Don't let us go into the subdivisions. Then there's the mood disorders, under which you now have depression, which will come in several degrees: mild, moderate, severe. Severe could now be sub-broken down into severe with psychotic symptoms, without psychotic symptoms, with suicidal ideations. Then there's the bipolar.
I was actually going to talk about the bipolar disorder.
The bipolar. Then you could have pure mania. I mean, mania occurring for the very first time. But once it is more than once, it becomes bipolar. Then we have the anxiety disorders. That makes up about 80% of all mental issues.
Wow.
But unfortunately, people don't come for treatment for them.
Why?
Because they still have a way of soldiering on. Under anxiety disorder, we have the generalized anxiety disorders, social anxiety, we have the phobias.
so having phobia is a disorder?
A phobia is actually a disorder.
Wow.
We have the post-traumatic stress disorders, which usually common to people who have witnessed war or any traumatic experience. And like I said, there's hardly anybody that will not have witnessed something traumatic one time or the other in his or her life. Unless we want to deceive ourselves.
Definitely.
So that's why I said the anxiety disorder make up like 80%.
We actually have numerous.
We have numerous, exactly.
What about
But
OCD?
OCD comes under that. You can actually make it a separate category, or you can actually include it under the anxiety disorders, because it can be broken down into two components. I hope you know. There's the obsessive part. Obsession means intrusive thoughts coming into you. It could just end there. Or there could be a compulsive part also. That means there's obsession, then the compulsion part, which now makes it OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. Because you can actually have an obsessive disorder alone.
Okay, for example, the common ones, we have people who can't stand a very scattered place. We have people who can't stand any form of odors. We have people who can't afford to be anything dirty. You have people that a speck of dust, they can practically... So, okay, let me use myself as an example. I have this thing with scattered places, especially beds. Immediately I'm getting up from my bed, I'm laying it. If you sit on my bed and you get up and you don't lay, it used to be a big issue for me in when I was in year 3 in the university. And so every person who stayed with me knows that, okay, I like my space in it. If you come into my space and you scatter it, we will fight. Not necessarily physical or a war of words. But then I realized that it was, and then there was another part to it too, where nobody can really do it the way I want it. Until people pointed my attention to it, that I was hurting them, because somebody would want to help me, and then the person would arrange, and I'll be like, no, this centerpiece is not well.
Exactly.
And they felt like I was doing a lot of things to hurt them. And there are those times I step into a place, I'm not comfortable with it. Sometimes I just, without thinking, I just want to put the chairs together. Until I had to make a deliberate effort to be like, okay, calm down. Nothing, you won't die if you leave this thing like
The
that.
way it is.
So I had to take a hold of myself. I had to talk to someone.
Exactly.
You know, but there are a lot of people out there that they feel
It's normal.
It's normal.
this
It's
is a
just,
scattered relationships.
It is.
True.
You see, OCD can actually, because you are not careful, just like you said, you won't make friends. Everybody will leave you to your own. Because here's the thing, they see you as a very finicky person. Okay, you want your things to be done. You want this chair to be at this angle. You want your shoes to be placed at an exact
Very calculative.
place. You know, very calculative
calculative.
person. But you see, not everybody will be like you.
True.
We are all wired differently. So if you continue to do that, people will stay away from you. You'll be a loner. Just like you said, you have to talk to somebody.
Yes.
And then, because if you are not careful, it will take over your life. Because that means if 50 people sit down on your bed, you keep on making that bed 50 times.
Exactly.
You won't go to school, you won't go to your classes. At the end of the day, you'll be thrown out.
And you actually mentioned that it becomes a disorder when it is affecting your daily
daily
life.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you have to, overlook it at times. Let me go, I'll come back and do it. But if you, no, I can't go,
Continue paying
I must do it
attention.
now, then it's a problem.
Okay, you know, of all this, of all the mental disorders you've mentioned, as a community psychiatrist, which one of them do you tend to pay attention to almost every day that people come to,
More
tell you
for
about?
Well, like I said, 80% are anxiety disorders, but they won't come to you, even though it's out there. The ones people talk about are the ones that disturb them or the environment. We're talking of schizophrenia.
Okay.
You'll be talking of mental and behavioral disorder, most times due to cannabinoids. Because they could be violent, they could start struggling, they could be, they could be aggressive. Those are the ones that reach our own attention. Meanwhile, just like I said, there are so many people having the same, but maybe because they are not aggressive, they keep them at home. A person who is depressed can become aggressive too. I hope you know.
Yes.
So don't always have this notion that the person who is depressed, is supposed to be calm. They could be agitated too at times, and they could be very destructive.
True.
So it is when they start being destructive or disrupting the peace of either the home or the environment, that's when people now say, they need to take this person to go and see a
It's too
doctor.
late, I suppose.
And most times, like I say, most times, it's already late, because if you ask them carefully, this thing must have been present for quite some time. They must have been shopping around for either a cure, either spiritually.
It's actually quite important we talk about this, because a lot of people out there, you just realize that, okay, you wake up this morning and then you hear someone died of suicide.
Yes.
And then you ask yourself, this person is usually always happy.
Happy.
I mean,
People
I still
seem to
saw
have
her
this
jumping
mask.
around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mask, you
For years.
wonder.
That's why they say sometimes if a person is saying, I'm fine, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm
You have to be
fine.
keen
There's
on,
a
are you
comedian,
really fine?
I can't remember. I think he acted Jumanji, or what's this guy's name? He killed himself. He's a very funny character in movies. He makes people laugh.
And then...
But yet he himself was dying inside. And at the end of the day, couldn't take it no more. He committed suicide.
Suicide.
Robert Williams.
Exactly, thank you.
And just like this CNN reporter,
Also,
and
People
it's
put
amazing
up
when
this
you
for
see
shit.
people
People
that
put up
are-
this happy, everything is fine, I'm on top of the world thing. But some people are dying inside. You don't know what anybody is going through. Some people, you see them smiling in the office, but
They are going
if
through
you
lots.
get close to them and actually just mention something that will get to them, they'll break down crying.
And cry.
But do you think, sorry, I need to know, do you think when someone is too happy, like you notice that this person is
Too happy, then you
is
should
there
actually...
something
wrong.
wrong?
Maybe they are trying to put up a front.
Yeah, you can actually, you see, like I said, you can actually give the person some allowance. But if it happens over and over and over,
Again.
and it's not the kind of behavior the person usually exhibits, at least start suspecting.
It's amazing, because reports reaching us now is like, someone just jumped again on 3rd Million Bridge. son jumped again, committed suicide.
So we still had another case yesterday. Where they had to rescue someone. You know.
I even let the person eventually died also.
Oh,
Yeah.
sadly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, talking about the recovery process, because I've definitely, community psychiatry is all about the psychiatry. It's all about the mental health. Do we have rehab centers in Nigeria?
To help people.
In Africa generally, do we have the centers? Because I know you have to talk to a therapist. Do we have therapists? How many of you community psychiatrists do we have? Do we have somewhere that can be your go-to place for mental health issues?
We have centers. Centers are springing up. Truth be told, but they are expensive.
Why?
So that is actually the issue now.
Yeah, because it boils down to the issue of cost. Because look, I'll give you a very good analogy. If you want to rehabilitate someone who is into substance, it takes a lot. You need to provide a very conducive environment. You need to, you need to provide so many things. And you need to have a lot of manpower because it is not a one-man show. It's not, I can do it all alone. You cannot be the doctor, you cannot be the nurse, you cannot be the physiotherapist, you cannot be the occupational therapist. It's a team. And if you want to get good results, you need to also pay people well so that they can stay. So that makes it more expensive. Now, like I said, people will rather, because of the stigma attached, not that these professionals are not in the psychiatric hospitals, but because of the stigma already attached to it, people don't want to go there unless they are pushed to the wall. That's the truth.
Okay, but you talk about the stigma attached to it. How has the community psychiatrist been able to, correct that notion?
Can we even break that cycle? How can we break that vicious cycle?
It's going to take a lot of education, a lot of advocacy, and a lot of trying to change the way people think in our society. The way, for you to change the way people think in a society is not a one-day job. It's something you have to keep on.
Continuously.
It's a continuous effort. You keep on saying it. And gradually, people will start changing. I'll give you statistics now. There's a particular psychiatric hospital. Maybe in the early 80s, maybe you see like one new client going to that hospital every day. The 90s, like 2 or 3. In the early 2010, like 5. As I'm talking to you today, there are times that facility sees 25 new clients every day. And the question will now be, is it that people are getting more and more mentally challenged? No. Advocacy is now coming. People are now coming out
to talk about their issues.
To talk about it. They are more aware. Now look, these people, they can't be managed. I need to take this person early so that they can actually begin the process very early and the person can get well.
Okay.
So that means this, let's say community psychiatry, mental illnesses, the treatment, it's picking up pace gradually.
It's picking up pace gradually.
Yeah. So the centers, the one we talked about before we went into this, how do they get funded? Do we have the government-owned ones? How do they get funded? How do they get drugs? How do they get treatment to those people?
Yeah. The facilities, they are government hospitals. Of course, the government will provide their own side of the thing. They are cheap. The professionals are there. People might not like it. Some people are finicky. They want... It still boils down to stigma. People don't want... I don't want to be seen. If you go to a general hospital or a psychiatric hospital, people can easily know you are there. People can... And, this is the era of social media. People can find a way of taking your picture. And, if you have a political ambition in the future, it can be used against you, something like that. So they rather go to the private facilities, even though it is expensive, but they are available. It's only that their own clientele might be the people who are rich, who can afford it, while the people who cannot afford those ones will have to make do with the psychiatric hospitals for now.
Okay, recently there's actually a movie that got people talking here and there. Everywhere you turn to, everywhere you go to, they are talking about the movie, which is about a lady who, helped a man become successful. When he had nothing, she was there. But then, even before they got married, she has had this issue of not being able to control her anger. And, control her feelings and emotions. So she goes so violent and aggressive and all. So now, a lot of people most times feel that it is actually not her fault. But then I don't see a reason why, even if you are angry about something or there's something bothering you, isn't necessary that you have to go all aggressive and violent to express yourself for people to know that, okay, this is what you're going through or you're angry about something. Because whether you like it or not, when you cannot control your anger, it is also under a mental disorder.
Yes, I agree with you. Like I said, we are all wired differently. If we receive if we receive news, all of us sitting on this set, the way we react will be quite different.
True.
Now, if a person is having excessive anger, the person is supposed to, there's what we call anger management. The person is supposed to can go to a therapist. Like I said, everything is not medication. Just simply talking and being trained or being taught how to react to situations can actually help the person out. That kind of person actually needs something like an anger management training. An anger management class to deal with it.
Do community psychiatrists, can they actually do that also?
That one we might not be able to do it. That one would be the work of a psychologist.
Okay.
Because it actually have to be, at times, most of the therapy is supposed to be one-on-one.
One-on-one, okay.
One-on-one. Wow. For it to be effective. Not that you cannot do group, but one-on-one, there are some things, if you are talking to a therapist, you can say one-on-one. But if 2 or 3 people are there, you want to hold back.
All right. So do you think obsession leads to stalking? Stalking in the sense that once you are angry, you harm yourself or people around you?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. But like I said, nothing is impossible. We've seen all forms of weird behaviors when people are angry. Somebody can be angry. You expect, okay, some can decide to be smashing everything. Instead of smashing, some can decide to even hurt themselves. There's what we call reflex anger to oneself. So instead of breaking cups, you can take the cup and even smash on your own head or trying to hurt yourself.
Okay, sorry, actually, I mixed it.
No, wait, the thing is that,
I was going to talk about that separately, you hurting people around you. But then stalking, when you follow people up and then you're monitoring people, can that also be classified as obsession?
Yes, it can.
Okay. Yeah, because stalking can be really extreme sometimes.
Especially in the social media
age.
Are
watching every
some
single
people can stalk you on social media.
And another thing is, talking about social media stalking obsession, trolls, online trolls, people who have decided to make your affairs your business. Because I personally feel it starts from stalking, obsession, and from there their anger is directed at you, any little thing, and then I'm very sure it affects their own mental health too. They begin to feel like I know of people who feel like they are dating an online celebrity who doesn't even know they exist.
It's a form of psychiatric illness.
How do we address that? I mean, sometimes I wish I could just knock some, like I need to find your house, knock you, receive sense.
It happens. You see, some people, they just have fantasies. They're in love with this superstar. They've not met before. There's what we call erotomania. It's a form of mental illness. There's Dick-Lambert syndrome. All those ones, it has to do with sexual and liking somebody who is of a higher status than you.
Oh, okay.
They've not met this person. They can even tell you they've been married before.
Yes. No, it's actually true.
You need to hear what some of our clients say when we talk to them. In fact, some of them could be jaw-dropping you. But you have to control your own emotions. Because body language too is very important. Because by the time your client says any small thing, your body language, they don't want to tell you anything. But you see, you're supposed to remain calm, not be judgmental. for them to actually
say their mind.
What's on their mind.
Wow. You know, in a case, you talk about self-inflicted pains and, you know, injuries. For a person now that, you know, finds it's until they inflict pain on themselves, and if they are better and they become calm, how do you help that person? Or is it the job as a community psychiatrist to, you know, help that person?
Yes, it's our job.
Okay.
Because if you hurt yourself by cutting yourself, you can actually kill yourself.
True.
Now, some of them can actually what we call attention-seeking behaviors.
I was going to ask that.
So that by the time they see me
Like
cutting
cutting
myself, they
Yeah.
will quickly run to me. It could be
True.
attention-seeking. But you see, you can't say, it's better to err on the side of caution and say this person is attention-seeking. You know, if the person goes and cut a major vessel, the person can bleed to death.
It's extreme.
It doesn't have to be extreme. Maybe he was trying to just, so that they would notice me.
You don't know the anatomy
Doesn't
of your
anatomy,
body.
just
Slash.
And my time blood, I'm dying. People think, it's normal you now. And the person will just die in front of you. So it is, there's also therapy for that.
Okay.
The person can see a therapist for that.
Is there a way you can restrict the person? Because sometimes even when they are put in a particular place, they still find a way to want to harm themselves.
It depends. Look, like I said, it could be that hurting yourself could be a sign of a bigger mental illness. That's why history taking, getting to know this person is very essential. Is it that there's a bigger thing we are not getting, or it's just this alone? So that's why I said, I told you it would take like 2 or 3 hours because you need to know. Question needs to be asked and answers need to be provided. And even after the answers are provided, you as a professional have to put all the answers together and say, okay, with these answers, what is this leading to?
So with all these that we've talked about, depression, suicidal thoughts and the likes, what is the future of mental health in Nigeria?
The future of mental health in Nigeria, is there. The World Mental, the WHO, how do we even define health? It's a complete state of physical. Mental is the second one. Even though, maybe I don't want to be biased, I will have played mental first. You could be physical healthy. Some people are physically healthy. They are not mentally. So what is the use? You're physically healthy. Yes, we can see you. But your thinking faculty is gone. You're as good as not going to contribute anything. We need to take care of our mental health. Like I said, the advocacy is ongoing. People are buying into it. Gradually. And not everybody will buy into what you are selling in a day. But gradually, it's a gradual movement. By the time advocacy, giving lectures, doing shows like this, getting it to the public that, look, don't joke with your mental health. Because there's no health without mental health.
Yes. Wow.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dapo. I've been open to a lot of things that, I just think of, I'm like, it's normal. But then you just know that this is not normal, it's abnormal. Sometimes, case of mood swings now, when it's extreme, you have to help the person and not just say, okay, she's like that, he's like that. You have to talk to the person, let the person open up. And, sometimes you said you have to give the person time and then gain the person's trust to be able to, the person will be able to open up to you and share their problems.
And if you actually see that it is beyond what you can handle, just go ahead and talk to a community psychiatrist, or you can talk to a health practitioner that could help out.
Exactly.
And one very important aspect of all this for me is that everything starts in the mind. You have to take control of your mind. You have to be conscious of the thoughts you allow into your mind. And most importantly, you have to be careful of how you allow this progression of thought and all that. Because, for example, just like you said, if you go to here, you can hear that somebody's knocking at the door or imaginarily. But then once you now begin to capitalize on it, that somebody's at the door, somebody's at the door, something is wrong. So the mind is really awesome.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Dapo, for coming. And on behalf of High Impact TV, we want to give you this very big token.
Thank you very much. Thank you
so much for enlightening us and for, in a way or two, securing the future.
In fact, this is securing
Exactly.
the future. Just like I said, no health without mental health.
You never can tell. You could have helped someone
out there watching us
right
Exactly.
now.
Yes.
And if you're out there, you know, don't feel. See, talk about stigma. When we talk about stigma a lot, it is not about them. It is you.
Yes.
They are not the ones who are living your life. They don't know what is going on within you. So seek help. Go for therapy. Go to a community psychiatrist. Enter a primary healthcare center. People are there waiting for you. They care about you genuinely, not just because they are paid. So go out there, feel better. It is all about you. Put you first.
Keyword is to seek for help.
Yes.
And not just keep to yourself.
Yes.
Thank you so much once again for coming to the show.
Thank you.
And it's on these notes that we have to wrap today's episode of Tea or Coffee. But be sure to join us tomorrow for another exciting episode. My name remains Mudupe Jacobs.
And I am Hura Olapokmola.
And I am Oluwaseun Olusegun.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.